So with the prototypical case study, the case you are selecting, greatly resembles the phenomenon that you are studying. Once right-thinking members of society get to hear the case, they can really connect it to the phenomenon under investigation. For example, once we talk about the use of internet in election campaign, the US comes to mind. A case that comes to mind easily is what? Is the US, where presidential candidates, DJ Trump and his cohorts will be tweeting to the extent that even official government communication using what tweets and then other social media to be engaged in that. That is a prototypical case. Okay. Now, when we talk of exemplary case, now with exemplary case, that category was not even present. It was the case that you are using which even created that kind of classification or category you are looking at. Let's say you want to study about parliament. You want to study parliament. Then if you select the British Parliament, that is an exemplary case because it created that particular even category. And so in P they say that it is that very case which created the phenomenon under investigation. And so it is better, okay, to examine even that case. Let's say you want to study the Ghanaian parliament and you say you want to compare it with other case, and then you select what? The British parliament. What justification do you use? Say, well, we are comparing the Ghanaian situation to the British Parliament because the British Parliament is an exemplary case. So we will see the extent to which the Ghanaian parliamentary practices are conforming or deviating or what have you, okay, from the exemplary case. Now we also have a deviant case, which is usually exception to the rule. So sometimes we have rules. Now the rule is that if you don't study or if you don't attend lectures, you don't read your notes, you will fail. Is that not the rule? If you don't attend lectures, you don't do assignments, you don't do anything, you will fail. That's the rule.
Exactly.
But if there is somebody who does not do all this, but at the end of the day, they passed what? Meritoriously. They passed on merit. They wrote the exams and then they got everything. They say, so that is exception to the rule. That's deviant case. Okay, it's a deviant case. They are deviating from the general rule that you need to do. You need to attend lectures, have your notes. Go through the lecture videos, study them. But some might not do this and they fail. But I'll tell you, my dear friends, don't try this at home. Don't try this example at home. Are you with me? Don't say that you not attend class, you won't do anything, but you will pass. No, please, that is not good. Now with the deviant case, sometimes we have a theory. For example, we have a theory that democratic countries are rich countries. democracy makes states what? Rich. And that is settled. Democracy makes what? States what? Richer. That is the rule. And when you check all the high income states, okay, when you check all the high income states, those on main campus, last week we classified states based on national income, and I demonstrated the global map. You check all those states that are high income states on the global map. Now, if I should share the democracy map also with you, you will see that all those places that are denoted with high income, about 99% are also democracies. And so there's no two ways about that. It is not controversial. It is settled. Democracy is associated with wealth. And as comparativists, we will use data to ascertain that as we proceed, okay? When we get to our topic on states and also on democracy, you will see that it is settled. So no argument, my dear friends. But there are certain countries like China. China is not a democracy, yet it is rich in terms of GDP or gross national income. China is doing very well, fantastic. And so how do you marry that? And then let me also even mention Russia. Russia did very well this year. The data says that Russia is a high income state. And so these few cases are exception to the rule. Despite being authoritarian regimes, they are what? Rich. They are exception to the rule. Those are deviant cases. Whilst we say that, well, even though we say democracies, make states rich, India is a stable democracy over time, yet it is a poor country. So that is what a deviant case. So sometimes you are doing a study, you select certain cases and you justify that, well, these are deviant cases, that's why you are selecting them. To really understand what is causing India to be poor, even though it's a democracy. You want to really understand what is making China rich, even though it is authoritarian regime. Then you are doing a comparative assessment. We have a critical case. Critical case, that one, you see, when we talk of critical case, it is an extreme case, extreme category that if it is able to sail through, you can categorically mention that, then every other case might sail through. For example, if it works here, it will work anywhere. Let me give an example that you can relate. Let's say when you were in your junior high school, you knew of maybe every year when exam is conducted, you can predict the person that is always getting 20 marks, or the one that was always chopping the last position. Okay, then you wrote an exam, let's say English, no? You know that typically this guy will get like 10%. Now, they started sharing the English. They mentioned this person and he got 80. Then he said that, as soon as he has got 80, then it means that everyone is going to get like 90 or 95 and the likes. That is what we call critical case. You know the case that is so opposite to what you are looking at. So that if that case survives, then you can confidently say that, then every other will suffice. Suffice. Do you have any example to share with that critical case? Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
I have an example, but that one, well, it's not a good one. So I don't like it. But let me bring you to political science, my dear friends. You see, there are certain countries that they dislike democracy. Even if they hear anything about democracy, they want to vomit. Okay? They so much hate democracy that they don't want to hear anything. Let's say we went to sleep. Then at the end of the day, the next day, we hear in the news that Afghanistan has become what? A democracy. Afghanistan of all countries has become what? A democracy. Then we can reasonably infer that if democracy has worked in Afghanistan, then in fact it can work out anywhere. Afghanistan, powerful places, has adopted democracy. Then democracy can work everywhere. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. If you have a seedling, okay, well, this one is harmless. If you have a seedling and then you want to test that the seedling is drought resistant, then you take the seedling to a soil or to an area where the soil is so dry. The soil is so infertile, it's so dry. The conditions there do not support plant growth. But after 3 weeks, the seedling is still what? Growing. What can you reasonably say? What can you reasonably say about the seedling?
It is resilient.
It's resilient, okay? We can say that this seedling can grow in any other soil condition, any other condition of a soil. Because this is the most, the most infertile soil that you can think of. This is a region where the rainfall is very poor. This is a soil where nutrient content zero. But the seedling has survived there. Then you can say that, well, once it works here, it can work what? Anywhere. Hello?
Hi.
We have a representative case. Now, representative case is typical of the category. That is an extreme form of the prototypical. With prototypical, we say that it is expected to grow to become the typical case anytime we mention the phenomenon. But with representative case, that case is typical of the phenomenon that you are studying. It is typical of that category. So anytime we talk of a coalition government, Finland, their governance system is associated with coalition with government because of the nature of their electoral system. At all points in time, they need to reach of consensus and form coalition governments. So it is what typical of those systems. We call those cases representative cases. They represent such phenomenon. So my dear friends, these are the 5 types of case study that as comparativists we can use to justify our choice. I have the full notes here, which you should be able to read and then get the full detail. Okay. Richardson. Okay, let me mute Richardson. I've muted.
Sir, not only him, there's another Ephraim person.
Ephraim? Ephraim, mute your microphone. Ephraim. All right. So that is the type of Now let's look at qualitative study, my dear friends. When we talk of qualitative study, we usually associate with the comparative method, and it involves taking few cases, small number of cases. Anytime you see what N, the N stands for the number of cases. So if you see small n, it means we are taking only few number of cases. When you see large n, it means we are taking a large number of cases to compare them. The qualitative method is often used in research that that examines, single or few cases. Okay. It concentrates on intensive examination of two or few cases. You take few cases so that you can do in-depth analysis of such cases. Now, these are the features of qualitative study. It has these features. You take few cases. The goal is to describe few cases there so that you can have the luxury of time to gather more data about the few cases so that you can describe the phenomenon. An effort is made to understand the interaction of multiple variables, and the meaning is allowed to emerge from the objects of study. You don't impose meaning on them, but the meaning, perspectives, and other things what emanates from the people that you are interviewing, or the people that are the subjects, or better way, we call them participants. Okay, we call them participants. The meaning is allowed to emerge from the participants who are the objects of study. Observation is the main, means of data collection. So you usually go to the field. Go to the people in their natural setting. If it is their houses, you go there. If it is party office, you go there to interview the party officials. Data is collected in the natural habitat or setting of the people. All right. We also have quantitative. This one we use what? Large N. Quantitative takes a narrow approach. You see, with qualitative, we said we use small number of cases in their natural setting so that you can do what? In-depth or detailed or comprehensive analysis. With quantitative, you take a narrow approach, but you focus on large number of cases, like the EIU. They take over 168 for different states, and then they compare only their democracies. Their democracies. We use statistics, and we tend to quantify and generalize the results. It is heavily statistical. We use figures, numbers. Okay, so this table summarizes qualitative and quantitative works. The goal of qualitative is to understand the underlying reasons, motivations in the setting of a phenomenon. Whilst with quantitative, we want to quantify and generalize results. With qualitative, we explore or we do bottom up. So we start from below. We engage with the participants or the objects of the study. You interview them, you observe from their phenomenon, and then you are able to generate data. Tell us maybe the rationale or reason for the flooding that you are seeing in Yeboah-Assiamah. Then you are interviewing the people. So the data, the information, everything comes from the people. But with quantitative, it is top down. It is confirmatory. Before you even go to the field, you have gone through the literature. The literature says that, well, flooding is caused by low topography, it's caused by high rainfall, it's caused by, poor attitude and the likes. So before you even go there, you have an informed or decision already. You are only going there for them to confirm or to disconfirm what you think about the issue. So everything is top down. You only go there for them to confirm your hypothesis. And then you are going to test your theory with the data that you gather from the field. Okay. So that is qualitative and quantitative. The view of human thought and behavior, well, qualitative says everything is so personal. The context is different. Context matters. So you can't predict things. Things are unpredictable. Don't assume that this is the thing that causes it. Don't assume. For some areas, you go there, the people will tell you, hey, this place, the flooding, well, it's caused by the gods. The gods are angry. The gods are angry. That is the perspective of the people. And in some areas too, it could be true. Even though it might not be scientific, but it could be true. The people can tell you certain things which could be true. So the view of human thought and behavior, contextual, personal, and unpredictable. Quantitative says, well, things are regular and predictable. You know that with qualitative, we take small n, quantitative, large n. All right. Now, I have two images here. We can describe them. You see this oil painting. We can describe them qualitatively and we can describe them quantitatively. You see, with qualitative, you explore and you interpret. Quantitative is more scientific and conclusive. With qualitative, we use open-ended questions, narrative, and images. For example, when you go to the area where there is flooding, you ask the people, what do you think causes flooding in the area? Why do you experience flooding in this area? This is an open-ended question. It allows a person to tackle it from every angle.
For the gods.
It allows them to tackle the question from any angle. If they think it is caused by poor attitude, they will tell you. If it's by government failure, they will tell you. If it's by corruption, if it's by what? Some gods that are angry or what have you, they will tell you. Because you ask an open-ended question. And the people will narrate. They will tell you in the form of story. They use words, non-numerical. They are not numbers. They use words, images, gestures to explain. But with quantitative, we usually ask close-ended questions. And we use for statistics, numbers. For example, you ask, 1, flooding in this area is caused by corrupt government officials. A, strongly agree. B, agree. C, neutral. D, disagree. E, strongly disagree. You see, this is a typical quantitative question. The respondent is required to select from the options you have given them, the A, B, C, D, whether they agree to what you think about their flooding. That's why we said it is confirmatory. At the end of the day, maybe all the questions you ask is not applicable to their context, but they will have to select among all the questions you give. And so it might not really tell the story of the particular context, that you are in. Just that you will come and will report using some statistics. 56% of the people said that flooding was caused by government officials who are corrupt, whilst 44 said, no, and what have you. At the end of the day, you have done the research, but the real issues or the core issues, you didn't find them out. But if it were to be an open-ended question, which allows the people to flow, to tell you their mind, whatever might not even be in the literature, which you don't know about a cause of flooding in that particular area, they would have told you in the form of their narration or narrative, which will make you even ask further questions on them to understand it very well. Now, how do we get information? We interview people with qualitative, we interview them, we do case study, focus group, and observation. Whilst with quantitative, we use experiment, survey, and questionnaires to do the work. So with qualitative, we use words to describe. We use words to describe. Whilst with quantitative, we use what? Numbers. Qualitative data can be observed, but you cannot measure it. Example, color, texture, smell, taste, appearance, beauty. These ones, well, you can observe, but measuring them becomes difficult. For example, you say, well, the color is blue-green color. It smells old and musty, and then the texture shows brush strokes. But if you are to describe same thing in quantitative terms, you can say, the picture is 10 by 4. Yes, the picture is 10 by 4. The frame, you can give some sizes and what have you. All right. Are we together, my dear friends?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, please.
All right. Let's look at forms of comparative analysis. Forms of comparative analysis. There are 4 main forms of comparative analysis. You remember that the first day of lecture, you saw the flags of different countries. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
When I shared the slide, the cover page, flags of countries. And so we were tempted to believe that, and of course, that's a traditional study or the traditional notion. We said comparative study, we compare politics across different countries to know or ascertain their similarities and differences and, different institutions, processes within these or different countries. But comparative politics has got more to do. We don't only compare different countries, we compare many things. So, and that gives rise to the forms of comparative analysis. Peters identifies 4 types of comparative analysis. We have what we call comparative organizational analysis. Here, we compare variations across 2 or more organizations. You can take 2 or more organizations. They can be within or just one country, like Ghana East Municipal Assembly and then Ghana West Municipal Assembly, or Adenta Municipal Assembly and then Ablekuma South, or Lankwantana Medina. Let's say you want to examine local governments and then internal revenue mobilization. The experience of Adenta municipality or Adenta Municipal Assembly and the Lanquantana Medina Municipal Assembly. So you are comparing two different organizations. You can take the Ghana Health Service and then maybe the Ghana Education Service. These are two separate maybe organizations. The police service, the fire service. You want to compare certain phenomenon. That is comparative organizational analysis. Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So when you take 2 or 3 different organizations, they can be from one state or even from different states. We also have what we call comparative sector analysis, where we compare variations across 2 or more sectors. Maybe you want to compare the public sector, private sector. Which one does well? And so then you are taking of public universities. You want to compare public universities and then private universities. But then you take 2 universities that are public and then 2 that are private. Now, what is at the back of your mind is that you want to check whether there are some observed similarities with regards to those universities in the public sector and those in the private sector. You want to find out whether there are some observed patterns that you can find. Let's say you want to check public transportation and then private transportation. Why is it that the public transportations, well, they seem not to be doing well, even when government pumps more resources, gives them more buses, after 3 years, 4 years, and then all the buses are rotting somewhere at the fitting shop or their garage, whilst the private transport companies, even with their limited resources with time, they are growing and they are improving over time. You want to understand the public sector and then the private sector. So you take 2 transport companies from the public, mention 2 public transport companies that we can select. Mention 2. Which ones?
STC.
STC. Okay, good. STC and what again?
Transport.
Sorry. No, I said the public. Metromass, Ayalolo, So maybe you take 2. Then you also take 2 from the public and from the private. Yes, private.
That comes
VIP. So then you check the way OA VIP operates.
2 Express.
That is making them grow over time. And then also check the public, what they are doing that is making them not grow well. And then at the end of the day, you can know that, okay, well, you can know the sectoral variations, okay? And that can tell you. We also have comparative historical analysis, where you compare variations across different time periods. Another name is called cross-time analysis. Like the Ghanaian example I gave. You can take Ghana, for example. Ghana during the First Republic, what was the nature of the regime? Ghana under the Second Republic, what was the nature of the regime? Ghana in the Fourth Republic, even the Fourth Republic, you can talk about what? Different periods. Once you are engaged in that kind of analysis, it is cross-time analysis. So yesterday, when I met the level 300s who are reading issues in comparative politics, our topic was on corruption. And I told them that I am going to let them do a comparative historical analysis of Ghana. Of Ghana's corruption perception index from maybe 2015 to 2025. So you take Ghana, what has been our corruption level? Okay, 2025, what was our score? 2015, what was the score? 2016, so that you can design a line graph. We will know whether it has been improving or it has been worsening or declining over the years. That is comparative historical analysis. You take a phenomenon and then you trace it across or time periods, okay? Comparative historical analysis. Are we together?
Yes, please.
Okay. That is comparative historical analysis. We also have comparative national analysis. Here we compare variations across 2 or more countries. We call it cross-national analysis. And I also ask them that they are not just doing a comparative historical analysis, they will also be required to do comparative national analysis. Because I can ask you to take, I'll share the data with them, okay, the data from the CPI data, shared out by the Transparency International, the latest report 2025. I can tell them to do comparative national analysis. Maybe take country like Nigeria, Togo, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and then compare their corruption perception index. Now, once they are doing that, they are engaging comparative national analysis or cross-national analysis. They are comparing with different countries. But if they also do it across different time periods, then that is cross-time analysis. Note that sometimes one or more of these can be used together in the same research, like the ones I will give them. They will do cross-time analysis as well as cross-national analysis. Let's say if you take Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Ghana, what kind of analysis is that? If you are taking Burkina Faso, Ghana, Togo, to check their corruption perception, what kind of analysis is that?
National.
Comparative.
Historical.
Comparative.
National.
Comparative
Comparative
analysis.
national or cross-national analysis. Good. Now,
Comparative national analysis.
good. What if I also ask them that, okay, you are doing Togo, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Ghana, but then you are to trace it from 2020 to 2025. What kind of analysis is that?
Comparative historical analysis.
Good. So then it has element of comparative national as well as element of comparative historical. So sometimes you can combine them to do, to enhance their robustness. So here you have Ghana, UK, Singapore, Botswana. This is the corruption perception index for these different countries. Well, this is the 2016 data, of course. We are using the 2025 for the level 300s. Now, note that if you get 100, you are perfect. So you check. Now, what kind of analysis are we doing here? What kind of analysis are we doing here? What kind of comparative analysis?
Comparative national.
Comparative national analysis. Good.
National analysis.
All right. So in this work, which I wrote with my colleagues from Manchester when I was there doing my postdoc. Now, we did a study on state business relations, those things that affect business people in Africa. And I will want Miss Dion, read the design methodology approach. Read that side for me. Here.
Please, is it a state business relations for entrepreneurial takeoff
Fantastic.
in Africa? Institutional
Yes.
analysis.
No, read the methodology where the cursor is. Can you see my cursor? That's the design. Read that one.
From
Read,
the abstract.
yes, of the abstract, but read the design only.
Okay. Design methodology approach. Comparative analysis of 6 African economies on their ease of doing business core. This is followed by a critical review of the literature to develop a 6-point explanatory framework to explore the relative position of the 6 countries on the ease of doing business scores. Using Ghana as a critical case study, the authors deploy an in-depth case study analysis via in-depth interviews of relevant stakeholders to validate the information from secondary sources.
Fantastic.
Findings.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
So once you read the methodology and design, you will see that the chief comparativists use the terms in comparative politics to draft, this whole research. Then we use Ghana as a critical case study. Ghana as a critical case, to do in-depth assessment of this. All right, so that is, you can see Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda. That is what comparative national analysis. But here, whilst we compared the different countries, we also compared their ease of doing business from 2010 to 2019, the variables. What kind of analysis is that from 2010 to 2019?
Comparative historical analysis.
Comparative historical or cross-time analysis. Good. You are very good students. Okay, so here we have some countries. We compare their corruption perception, and then it is from 2015 to 2019. What kind of comparative assessments are embedded here?
Historical.
No, national.
We have a bit of national and historical.
Please mention them fully.
It's combined.
Mention them fully. What kind of analysis can you find here?
One is cross-national comparative analysis.
Okay,
and
good.
Comparative historical
So
analysis.
once you mention it, you tell us why it is. If you say cross time, why? Explain. If you say so, that is how I want my answers in any exam. So I bring this table. Okay, we can see comparative historical analysis embedded. And then you explain what we mean by comparative historical and tell us what you find on this table that makes it qualify as such. So I want someone to give me the answer so that I'm preparing you for exam. Yes. Be quick. Yes. What kind of analysis is embedded?
Can I?
Okay, Michael. Yes, Michael.
Please, first we have cross-time, which starts from 2015 to 2019, and then the historic national, cross-national also, because there are countries involved between New Zealand, Denmark, Singapore, United States, United Kingdom, Botswana, Ghana, Rwanda.
Thank you, Michael. It is comparative national in nature. Then you explain what you mean by comparative national. Instead of with comparative national, we compare different countries. Okay. In this case, we are comparing about 10 or 9 countries. You can go ahead and mention them. It is also comparative historical. With comparative historical, we trace a process, okay, or we examine a phenomenon across time period. in this situation here, we are comparing the corruption perception index from 2015 to 2019. Okay, with this work also, we did some aspects, but my dear friends, that is it. We will leave that one there and then go to our next agenda. Now, we have some key terms. We need to conceptualize them. We need to conceptualize them. With comparative method, we will be using some terms, some research for concepts. And so it's important we understand them. Hello, comparativists. Are you there?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. A variable is a concept that can be systematically observed and measured. So any concept that we can use some other means to measure and observe, such as our height. You can measure the height, okay? You can measure our weight. We can measure the GDP, or if you like, the gross domestic products of a country. We can measure the population of a country, okay, by head count. So all these, height, weight, they are variables, okay? Now, variables allow us to understand the similarities and differences between observed phenomena. So any concept that we can measure is a variable. Can you tell me some things that we can measure? Any other example of things that can be measured? Can we measure happiness?
No.
Can we measure happiness?
Abstract.
Can we measure sorrow?
Abstract. No.
No.
Can we measure love?
No.
No.
Can we measure hatred?
No.
No.
But why are you saying no, no, no? Dion.
So we can measure love. We can measure love with money.
Sarah, I like that. Why are you saying no, 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 no? You think? You are saying we cannot measure, we can't measure hatred, we can't measure love, can we measure honesty?
No, please.
Honesty.
No,
Yes, sir. We can.
When you have three people, can you say, or can you do some tests and say that this one is an honest person, that one is not? Can you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Now come again. Can you measure love?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's Momo.
Yes, sir.
Why Momo? Let's say you have two friends. One will be calling you, sir. You never pick. You never pick. You see the call and say, "Oh, I'll call you. I'll hard ring the door." But the other one, there, Charlie, you miss the call, then you will be calling like 3 times because you want to hear what the person even wanted to say. And you are saying we can't measure love. And we can't measure love.
Your boyfriend.
Yes.
We can.
Sir, measuring love is subjective.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we use subjective means to measure. That's why we say you can systematically. You can use what? Some means. Okay, this one, if she calls him, he doesn't pick. He doesn't even give her what? Money. He doesn't call on her. Okay. But the other, every time he's on her. Now, tell me, they say, Daniel, can you not tell from the actions and reactions which of them that the person is more in love with? Tell me. Yes. And you people are saying we cannot measure.
Sir, you can.
We can measure all the things I mentioned. You can measure sorrow. When you go to a funeral and you see how people are crying, you see how maybe, the ones who are deeply affected, you see how they are crying. They don't even feel for food. But when you see some other people, those who are always using their nose to smell where there's funeral, once they go down, then they start crying. Hey, wow, 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 wow. Then they take food kakra, then they eat kakra.
That's beyond.
Oh, well, my dear, and then you see cry him. Then they start drinking the wine there. So you are telling me we cannot measure sorrow. When you see the actions of people there, you can know who is deeply affected.
Sometimes it's fake. No,
Sorry?
sometimes it's fake.
Yes,
Sometimes
of course.
it's fake.
And so you can
pretending.
notice the fake ones even as well.
The crocodile tears.
Can we measure democracy?
Yes, please.
Same. Yes, same.
We can measure. Now, can we measure happiness? You see, we measure happiness. There's an organization that measures happiness. Even the World Value Survey, they measure happiness. So all those things you were saying abstract, there are ways we use to measure. Sometimes people even do a laugh test just to know whether they are loved or not. They will say, hey, Dion, somebody says I should give you iPhone, but mention your boyfriend's name before we give it to you. Or mention. And then you say, is it Patrick? Hey, it's not Patrick. Then you say, oh, is it Samuel? Hey, it's not Samuel. And then you see, even the ones the lady will mention first, maybe. But, so you see, we can measure variables. And there are many, phenomenon that we can systematically observe. We measure democracy. When we get to our fourth topic is on democracy. And we will see how we measure democracy. We can tell which countries are more democratic than the others. There's a way we measure, even though it's abstract. You will get to know which countries are more democratic. For example, let me even ask, which country do you think is the most democratic?
United States.
United States of America.
But when we measure democracy, you will know that America, US is not even a full democracy. It's not a full democracy. It is in the category that Ghana finds itself. We call them flawed democracy. Democracy with what? With some flaws. It's not a full democracy. So, but we only get to know after what? Measuring. Now, a variable, we have some variables we call the dependent variable and some also called independent variable. Now, the one we call dependent variable is the one we want to understand. Let's say we want to understand why over 90 students pass their poly 1, is it 111? Over 90 students, or over 90% passed. So now the dependent variable is what? Is success in the poly 111. Student success in poly 111 exam. Okay, success in the exam. But tell me, what are some of the things a student will do and will pass exam? Ebenezer. Yes, that's here, Daniel, comparativist. What are some of the things a student will do and pass exam? Yes, they say then you're
Thank
on
you,
mute.
sir.
Sorry?
Sir, by reading his slides.
By reading what? Slides.
Or
Good.
his slides.
That is one. Good. Now
Constantly
let's
and
go to Isaac.
understanding.
Isaac, which other one? Unmute your mic.
By attending lectures.
Sir, it's my
Okay.
turn.
Yes, Isaac.
Sir, by learning.
By learning, good. Patrick, any other?
Assignment.
Doing assignment. So all the points you have given, that comparative is the Sir Daniel, comparative is Patrick, Isaac. These points are what we call explanatory variables. They are trying to explain the dependent variable. They are trying to make us understand what possibly made the students or pass. So they are called independent variables. Are you with me? They are independent variables or explanatory variables. So for example,
yes, sir.
Higher participation in politics may be driven by factors such as great wealth and then higher education. So we want to understand what makes people participate in politics. That is the thing we want to understand. And what are the possible factors that make people participate in politics? What are they?
Higher education.
Higher education and then what?
Great wealth.
Great wealth. So which one is the dependent variable? And which ones are the explanatory variables?
The explanatory ones are the great wealth.
Okay, wealth and education, greater wealth and higher education. And then what is the dependent variable?
Why people participate in politics.
Politics, okay, participation in politics. So my dear friend, that is variable. So the dependent variable is always the analysis, the thing you want to explain. What does the researcher seek to find out? So in the first example, we wanted to find out, people passing their Poly 111 exam, marks for success in the exam. That was what we sought to find out. The independent variables were the explanatory variables. Okay, we talked about all these. Okay. Let's look at hypothesis. Hypothesis. When we say hypothesis, before we conduct any quantitative work, we usually have a hypothesis. At the heart of research is the formulation and testing of hypothesis. Now, before you go to the field, you have your own assumption. You have your own assumption. Now, let me give you something that you can relate. Then you say that, oh, the lady left Samuel because Samuel was not providing for her. That is what you think about their breakup. So that is your hypothesis. The lady left him because he was cheating. That's your hypothesis. That's what you think about the issue. There was flooding. There was flooding because the people had bad attitudinal factors. The flooding was caused by poor attitude of the people. That is what you think about the issue. That's hypothesis. It is a proposed explanation for a phenomenon. It is what? A proposed explanation. It is a tentative explanation. That's what you think. But sometimes your thoughts might not be right. Is that not the case? Hello.
Hi.
Sometimes the way you think about issue might not be like that. So once you formulate the hypothesis, which is a proposed explanation, you have to go to the field and gather actual data. We mentioned that comparative politics, we deal with what is, not what we think, or not what ought to be. Are you with me?
Yes.
So once you generate your hypothesis, you quickly have to go to the field. Go and interact with the people involved. Go and get information or data. So if you assume that the lady left the gentleman because of maybe poverty, that is your proposed explanation. You have to go and then interview them. Go and interview them, or go and distribute questionnaire. The people pass Poly 111 because they all studied well, or because the night to the exam they all studied throughout the night, which made them get A in the exam. Whether test score in Poly 111 is impacted by the amount of time spent sleeping or reading in the night before the test. And let's say you have proposed that, all the students are now, over 90% of the students would pass the exam because on the night before the exam, they all studied. That is your proposed explanation. That's your hypothesis. Now, once you are done with that, you need to develop your questionnaires, distribute it to the students. Ask them how many hours they slept a night before the exam. I slept throughout the night. B, 2 to 3 hours. 4, 8 to this. Okay, so you ask them questions on the number of hours they slept, and then you also ask a question bordering on their grades. At the end of the day, you can do some correlation to see whether the amount of hours the students slept has any impact on their score. So what I'm saying is that once you generate hypothesis, the next thing to do is to go and gather data. The data you gather may confirm your assumption. It may confirm or may support your initial thoughts of the phenomenon. So when you go to the field, you are likely to, your data is likely to confirm that, oh yes, indeed, the lady left because of poverty of the gentleman, or because the person was cheating, okay? Or the flooding was caused because of attitudinal factors. It can confirm, or it can falsify your hypothesis. You distributed the questionnaires and the people are telling you that, the flooding was caused by, people or state agencies that have refused to enforce laws, okay? Fail to enforce laws. And then you see that what you thought to be the issue is not even the case. Or, yes, Ebenezer.
So I want to find out something. I think last year was an argument on one of our courses, and it was about hypothetical. All pastors like men, or all pastors love money. There was a debate on the pages, and I want to find out that is that everything, or should there be a time that we need to do a proper survey, study, and come up with such a conclusion? So when such a statement is made, is it a hypothetical statement?
Yes, it's a hypothesis. Pastors are driven by money. Okay, this is a hypothesis. Pastors are driven by money. And so that's a hypothesis. Now you distribute questionnaires. A lot of questions, distribute to to maybe church members, some pastors and community members. You need to select your respondents well. Gather data, come and analyze whether the findings you get support the argument that pastors are driven by money, or pastors are driven by the love for the work of God and then their congregants. So once you go and gather what data from the questionnaire and analyze, it may support or confirm your initial assertion that pastors are driven by money, or all pastors love money. Or it may falsify it. Maybe by the time you finish analyzing your work, oh, the church member said, oh, as for our pastor, no. Even when you go and you don't have money, he will pray for you. Let's say 80% were saying that. Then it will falsify your initial hypothesis. Are you with me? So anytime you formulate a hypothesis, the next thing to do is to go for actual data to analyze, so that you will know. So now you see the variables, love for money. Love for money is the the independent variable, love for money. So then you go and check whether love for money has implication on the operations of pastors, which can falsify or may confirm your assumption. All right, we also have what we call a theory. Now, a theory should not be confused with hypothesis. A theory should not be confused with a hypothesis. I mentioned that a hypothesis is a tentative or a proposed explanation. I mean, those are your assumptions. You assume it to be so. But a theory has moved beyond that. A theory has moved beyond assumption, has moved beyond proposal. Okay, it is a more authoritative statement, a more meaningful statement. Are you with me? Hello?
Sir, we are following you. We are
fantastic.
On course.
So hypothesis is a proposed explanation. It's an assumed explanation of the relationship between the two variables. But a theory has moved on. It is a meaningful statement. It is an authoritative statement about the relationship between two real world phenomenon. Okay, the dependent and then the independent variable. So with theory, it has moved beyond the hypothesis stage. Maybe you observe the phenomenon, you observe the pattern, you first generated the hypothesis, you went to the field to gather data, it confirmed your hypothesis, you went to another area to do a similar work, and then it confirmed the hypothesis. I mean, after 5 years, this was done elsewhere, and then it also confirmed the hypothesis. So when a phenomenon goes through that stage, a hypothesis that is confirmed over time, then it moves into the realm of a theory. Then we know that indeed there is a relationship between love. I mean, there is a relationship between money and then the pastor's quest to work. That is when we confirm the hypothesis over and over and over and over. Then it moves into the realm of a theory. Theories are formulated to explain, predict, and understand phenomena. So once it becomes established that pastors love money or are driven by money, then it becomes a theory. Now we use the theory to explain actions of pastors. We use the theory to predict a pastor. Say, hey, Charlie, I am sick. They say, oh, but I'll go and see the pastor to pray for you. No, how can I go? I don't have money. So you see, we are using the theory to predict, because you know that by all means, at least of which you pay Momo before you go. Say, well, you pay Momo before you even come for consultation. But here, theory moves into the realm of becoming explanatory variable, okay, or phenomenon. We have a theory in public administration or in political science. We call it public choice theory. You see, after observing the way people enter into public office, and then they spend, public resources, their interest is they are more interested in their own, well-being. Okay, they seek power in the pervasive or sense, as Aristotle noted. Okay, they seek power in their own interest. Now, with time, scholars have come up with what we call the public choice theory. The public choice theory has moved beyond the realm of hypothesis to become a theory, because we have observed this over the years, that people enter into public office to make profit, to benefit, and not to serve. Even though they say, oh, we want to serve you better, but it has been observed that the same way the tomato seller will go to the market to sell tomatoes. Why does tomato seller goes to market to sell? Yes. Why would they go and sell in their market? Hello?
To make more money.
To make money.
To make money, to make profit. Do you think because they think maybe they say, Daniel, you are going to prepare, stew? That's why they are in the market?
No, please. No, please.
Because they want you to prepare your soup. That's why they are there.
No, please.
No, say.
So, Dion, it's not because of your banku. That's why the mole seller will wake up and go to the market, but to make a profit. So, the public choice theory, we equate the activity, the action of the market person to people who want to also enter into public service. It's not to serve, but to make their own profit, to serve themselves.
Yes,
that is the public choice theory. But the public choice theory, that's the argument. You can use it in your research. Based on the theory, you can generate a hypothesis. The theory says that people go into public office, for their self-interest. So I am doing a study on leadership in Ghana, and I'm using the public choice theory. I want to formulate hypothesis. Well, so I can formulate a hypothesis. Can say that Nelson Mandela was a public leader. He entered public office for his self-interest, because I am deducing from what? From which theory? From which theory?
Interest theory.
Which theory, Michael?
Public choice theory.
Yes.
Choice theory.
So sometimes we generate hypotheses from existing theory, because this is what the theory is saying. Okay, well, this person is in that category, so I can deduce and formulate hypothesis. Now, once you formulate hypothesis, you have to go to the field to really find out whether indeed Nelson Mandela went into the public office for self-interest. You'll get to know that that is not the case. Then your own study has refuted the hypothesis you generated. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So theories have their own criticisms. We can criticize theories as well. So this is how theories come about. You observe a phenomenon. Okay, if it is just one-off case, then no problem. But you see, No, and yet it's not one case. So it's like the thing is becoming what? A pattern. It's not one of maybe in the morning the person saw you, they did not greet you. Or maybe they didn't see me, okay? Well, maybe the person was good. But in the afternoon to the person saw you, they didn't greet you. In the evening to they saw you, they didn't this one there. it's not a mistake. This one it's like a pattern. The person wants you to know that they are not fine with you. So it's a pattern. So observation, then you see if it's a pattern, then you formulate your hypothesis. Okay, it's not only one pastor that takes money before consultation. It's like a pattern. Then you formulate your hypothesis. Pastors are driven by money. Because of the pattern you are seeing, then you formulate your hypothesis. After you formulate hypothesis, what do you have to do, my dear friend? What did I say you should do? After hypothesis, what do you do?
Go and collect data.
Go and collect data. Good. Go and collect data. So you go and then you collect data. Your data will confirm your hypothesis or will falsify your hypothesis. If repeatedly the hypothesis is confirmed over and over, then it moves into the realm of a theory. Are you with me? All right. So, my dear friends, we will end here. Next week, we will look at, okay, we have 10 minutes. Maybe let me finish so that next week we just move to states. Okay. Are you with me? Now, once you talk about a case is the unit of observation, the thing you want to compare. It can be a country. It can be an institution. It can be individuals. Let's say you are learning about leadership in Africa. So your case can be, as I mentioned, Mobutu, Laurent Kabila, and all this. So a case is the unit of observation, the things that you want to compare, whether countries or institutions or local governments, towns, and what have you. The unit of analysis is the object of study in the comparative politics. What exactly you are studying, if it is countries, but what exactly are you studying? Now, when you are selecting cases, my dear friends, there are two main approaches in selecting cases. We have what we call the most similar system design, also called MSSD, most similar system design. When we talk of the most similar system design, let's say you are selecting 4 or 5 countries, you are using the MSSD, most similar system design. Now, it means that all the cases you are selecting, they are very similar. They share a lot of features together. They show a lot of features together. If it is about their history, they share a common feature. They were all colonial states. They became decolonized. Maybe in terms of their natural resource endowment, they have similar resources. Maybe in terms of population, they share similar population. So the countries you are selecting, they exhibit similar characteristics. Yet in terms of outcomes, you are seeing differences. Hello, are we together?
Please, we are together.
So the countries share a lot of features together. They are very similar, yet they are producing different outcomes. They are producing different outcomes. Now, if you all share these same features, and then one country is poor, the other is rich, you, the one that is poor, won't you normal? don't say that ukashino and yet. You cannot say, oh, you know that well, we are poor because of colonialism, because of colonialism. No, you cannot hide behind colonialism because the other cases too, they are also what? They are product of what? Colonialism. You cannot talk about your population because you share similar population.
Sir?
So when you are doing what the most similar system design, you select cases that are very similar in terms of the different variables you want to take. So that the known what different outcome you are seeing, whether one is doing well or one is not doing well, you have to rule out all the features that are common to them. Rule out all those ones. And that will make you find out what really is causing the difference you are seeing. When you have two athletes, in terms of their height, almost the same, their weights the same, they are all trained by the same coach. Let's say they are all what Opoku students. The same coach is teaching, is training them. They have the same sportswear, everything. They are eating the same food. In terms of their natural gift, the same. Anytime that they run, this one will finish, 10 seconds. The other will finish 9.99 seconds. So this time one will first the other. So they share the same features. Then maybe we went to the superzonal, and then this time we say 1, 2, 3, go, pop. Charlie, the first person was first, but we expected the other one to be second, but with close margin. But this time round, Charlie, the guy was reporter. So then we want to find out what caused the difference in terms of what performance, the different outcomes. Can you say because the one who was last, can you say he was last because of his height? Can you say that? Can he justify with his height? No, because they share the same height. Can you say it's the weight that made him what? I'm coming there. He cannot say it is his weight. He cannot also say, he cannot blame it on his boots because you are wearing the same boots. If it is Tawato, you are both wearing Tawato. You cannot say it's for tactics. The same coach is training you. So he cannot hide behind all the things that are common to them. So it makes it easier for us to know what caused that difference. Maybe the night before the match, this guy, instead of sleeping early, he went to the club. He went to the club, and then he ended up eating some forbidden fruit. That forbidden fruit, which they told Adam not to eat. Maybe the guy went to the club and then he ate the forbidden fruit. So the next morning he was going for the race, he was drained. Energy, everything was drained. That is what the most similar system design. You take all those features that are common to them, you rule them out. And then you find out what actually did A do, which B did not do. What actually happened that caused the variation. So as comparativists, when we are selecting cases, we either use the most similar system design. So you take countries that have similar histories, okay? Maybe they share the same colonial history, the same language, the same cultural traits. They have all witnessed a period of military rule. So if one of them is poor and the other is having strong economic growth, you cannot hide behind your colonial history. Maybe what is causing the difference is the differences in terms of economic strategy. Whilst the other one is taking long-term planning, the other is doing 4 years NPP, 4 years NDC. Whilst others are doing long-term planning, you are doing kokwasa. At the end of the day, you are having a slow economic growth, the others are developing at an advanced rate. Okay. We also have the most different system design, which is the opposite. Here we take cases that share different contrasting features, different histories, different cultures, and different resource endowments. Now, despite these differences, they are producing same outcome. Same outcome. Hey, how can that be possible? Let's say you have one short guy, one tall guy, and then one well-built guy. You said they are to run. At the end of the day, they all reach the finishing line at the same time. Despite their observed differences, you will see a similar outcome in terms of their performance. That is the most different systems design. So the cases that you are selecting, they share different features, different contrasting of features, yet you are seeing a single or a common outcome. A well-known example is, revolution occurred in France, Russia, and China. Even though these were three different states, they share different features altogether. But at the end of the day, they all experienced a common outcome, which was revolution. So then it is not about the form of government, it's not about the size of the government, but then what was common there? When internally you are weak, and then externally too, you don't have more allies, then you are more susceptible to this. Let's say you take countries like Kenya and Ghana, okay? Kenya and Ghana differ in terms of their colonial history, ethnic composition, economic structure, historical, political conflict. Kenya has witnessed this. But you see, despite these differences, you see a common outcome. There is successful democratic transition. So with the most different system design, you have to consider what is common amongst them, despite their observed differences. What is that common thread which is causing the similar outcome you are seeing? Then you get to know that, in both countries, the role of civil society and then maybe international pressure is what is causing their democracy to be stable over time. I told you that Ghana, we came to the 1992 dispensation because of some international pressure, okay? After the end of the Cold War, if you wanted support, you go to only the US and the Bretton Woods institutions, okay? And then they will compel you to democratize, improve your governance system. Anytime you want, financial aid, they give you some conditions, to enhance your democracy, also open up your economy and their lives. So then you can say that, well, despite their differences, what is common amongst them is maybe international pressure or role of civil society, which is causing the similar outcome you are seeing. So with the most, Sarah, mute your microphone. With the most different system design, what we are interested is the method of agreement. Despite their differences, at what point do they converge? What is common amongst them, despite their observed differences? So, and I am highlighting this because of what I know. Now, with the most different system design, our focus is on the method of agreement. At what point in time do they converge? Do they show some agreement or fewer similarities despite their observed differences? Then with the most similar system design, what we focus on, Salizan, Alexa, mute your microphone. Despite their similarities with the MSSD, our focus is on the method of difference or the point of difference. So with the two gentlemen who are athletes, despite their observed similarities, we are interested in the method of difference. On the eve before the race, this guy went to the club and then did the forbidden thing, which caused his energy to drain. That is the method of difference. So please note it very well, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that is that for our topic on comparative method. Comparative method. Next week, we will move to our third topic on states. States. Any question, comments, my dear friends? Yes, any question for me? Okay. In the absence of any question, comments, the class is ended. Enjoy your weekend. And then we meet next week. All right.
Active comparative.
All right.
We are grateful.
God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.